Hello, everyone, and welcome to Guildmaster Gaming. This time around, we are looking at a short film, Liquor Bank, which was written and directed by Marcellus Cox. And we also have Adam Freed, who is the executive producer of it. So, Marcellus, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your movie.
Thank you so much for the platform. So a little bit about the film Liquor Bank. It is based on a true story about a former ex-Marine who, in many ways, I've always looked at it as someone who is drowning in his own self misery, and he's trying to find ways out, but just simply can't of ending his past behavior and drinking. And you have this wonderful man in Baker who's a sponsor who comes to check up on him as he's basically missing out on his 1 year anniversary sobriety.
Okay. And Adam, please tell us about yourself. And why don't we just kind of ask you straight up as part of that is what drew you to be the producer of Marcellus's movie?
Yeah, that's a great question. My name's Adam Freed. I'm the executive producer of Liquor Bank. And my answer to that is an easy one. What drew me to this story was Marcellus Cox and the fact that I was familiar with some of his other work. And he and I had been in contact a little bit over the last year. I actually interviewed him in LA about a year ago. And I was just quite taken with his passion for filmmaking. And when this project came about, some of the themes that I think we're going to get to, they hit me right in the heart. And I realized that here we have this really gifted writer, a gifted filmmaker. And if I could be of any assistance to getting a production like that off the ground, it would be my honor. And so I feel like it's been a really successful partnership. And, we're really excited to get this thing into full swing so that people can actually see it.
Okay. So if you interviewed Marcellus about a year ago, that would have been with his feature film, Mickey Hardaway, uh, which I had opportunity of seeing and reviewing also and have written about it. So I'll kind of throw this out because both of these films deal with some real social impact issues. So, starting off with Marcellus, what is your drive to make type of messages in your movies?
I'm sorry. I hope you don't hear the ambulance truck passing by my apartment.
That's
Um,
okay.
these kind of stories for me are, I guess, what drive me is the fact that I've been living it my whole life. I've seen them my whole life, and they're stories that I want to put a shine on because otherwise they normally don't get talked about or discussed on any levels or on any circumstance whatsoever. So these are things that I want to display, especially amongst an entire culture that I've always felt has never truly been displayed in this manner. They've always been kind of somewhat whitewashed and like leveled into things that I felt just really didn't speak to me or speak to a culture I felt like really needed to have these kind of views that aren't sugarcoated, that aren't looking for awards, but that actually speak and showcase issues that really matter and show them in a way. In the way I try to prioritize the story is to not sugarcoat it, but at the same time, I want to be sincere about it because I know the reality of it. And these stories for me are just things that just really make me as an artist say I have to do this. So it's just all stories that they're close to my heart. They're near and dear to me, and I felt like if I have to be the only one to have that kind of voice for it, then I would be so.
Okay. So this, like, when if you ever see this film or if you see another one of, the Mickey Hardaway film, there's very powerful themes in here. What would you say are the main themes? And I'll leave this up to either one of you. What do you think are the main themes that you're trying to tell with Liquor Bank?
Well, I'll
For
just jump
me,
in really quick. The thing that drew me to the story right away when I first took a look at Marcellus's concept was really twofold. One, this is a story about a United States veteran whose service to our country was long gone, but he was still paying the price for his service in some of the struggles that he was having. And in the case of Liquor Bank, those struggles are of course with alcohol. And then the second prong of that I really attached to was just the absolute selflessness that is required of someone to be there for someone who is struggling. And day after day to sometimes get kicked in the teeth, but to continue to stand back up for your brother, for your loved one, for whoever that may be. It could be a relative, and to say, no, I still see the best in you. And I think in a lot of ways, that's something that I want to see for all independent films. I want the world to say, no, we see the best in you, independent filmmakers and independent films, and realize that like there is such greatness in people that has yet to be discovered. And that's something that I just really felt with Liquor Bank.
Yeah. I think for me, the type of themes that I do want to showcase, like he just spoke up, are themes like hope, but at the same time, I want to also display themes of this reality in general that there's just don't get talked about, especially amongst the culture. So for me, these are just things that just really kind of play in hand. I mean, you play with the everyday themes that everybody else go through, but you just want to showcase certain stories that just simply don't get a spotlight shine on them.
Yeah, and I'll agree with that. Before we start, I mentioned something. I can see this is a good point to point out. What drew me to this film of yours when I saw the thing and asked to review it was I come from a family that has that. My dad served 23 years active duty, two tours in Korea, two tours in Vietnam, and he finally stopped drinking when I turned 21. And I helped him through some of those times. And also, he later became a sponsor, like the characters here. And I know some of the calls he went out on. So I think this has a very powerful emotional impact for anybody that has gone through any of this. Was it cathartic in any way for either of you when you were putting this together and putting it out there of anything you would like to talk about?
Um, well, for me personally, it was very cathartic when I actually got to meet with Eddie, and he actually showed me like photos of him and him at battle, and also just when he was trying to recover, and telling me stories. It was really very chaotic. I was very nervous. One, I didn't feel like I was the one to tell his story when I had a chance to be with him 2 years ago, and it just honestly felt like maybe I should stay away from this. But he actually has saw a couple of my earlier stuff, and he actually saw Mickey Hardaway and believed that I was the one to tell the story, and he asked me to, and I kind of wanted to stay away from it. But the more that I went into his story, and the more I got a chance to meet with Baker as well, who's actually now a sponsor out in Florida. Um, I felt like it was a story that I felt like I really needed to do and really to tell. And the fact that, you know, I know people personally who have been in the Navy and people who have been in the Marines and, gotten to know them over the years and to do this kind of story for them. And the fact that they all kind of gave their seal of approval on it as well as people who know people who struggle with these type of issues. So that was something that was really unique to me. But the whole thing was chaotic for the perspective that I just really did not want to do the story at all. But I'm glad I got talked into it.
Yeah, I think a story like this, it feels like quite a burden to tell. And I think, I kind of got that sense from Marcellus because it's a huge responsibility to show someone at their worst and then to do it in a way that can not only reflect that, there's greater days ahead, no matter what people are going through, but also the fact that like in Eddie's character, there's a little bit of all of us. And Dan, I was really touched that you were willing to share that with us about your family. And I can't tell you how many people we've sent the pre-screener link to Liquor Bank to that have gotten back to me and they said, "Oh my God, I can't believe this because this is my uncle's story. This is my brother. This is my son." And the more people that have had an opportunity to see this, I feel like the more people have responded similar to the way that you mentioned, Dan.
Yeah, I can relate to what you're saying about all that because I've also had the opportunity of working on a film last year that dealt with suicide. So they're hard stories to tell, but very necessary ones to tell. So I thank you for putting forth the effort to get this film made. So I'll put that. But just like looking back over some of the things you've done in the past, now you did a Mickey Hardaway short, which turned into a feature. So are we looking that Liquor Bank might be just kind of the proof of concept to tell a greater story of this journey?
No. This was just a one and done. and I feel like it served its purpose for what I wanted to say and what I wanted to demonstrate with this kind of story and this kind of this nature in general. But no plans for a feature. Mickey Hardaway actually was something I actually wrote in high school at 17. So now I'm being 37 and looking at it been 20 years of having that project being put together. I am so tired of concept shorts and concept projects in general. So no concept with this, but I would hope that people will look at this as in a broader scope and understand that, this even in 15 minutes, there's a wide body story.
Okay.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that too, about, does this have the makings of a feature? And, I don't know if every poem needs to become a novel. And I feel like what Marcellus has accomplished in this story is it is wonderfully poetic. I think it is representative to multiple groups and tiers of individuals across our society and across the world. And I think sometimes a story that is bite-sized that might leave people wanting just a little bit more, that may be exactly what it was intended to be. And we agree, we feel that way about Liquor Bank for sure.
Hmm.
Okay. So then during production, either, during filming or one after the fact as you're kind of going through everything, was there any particular scene or moment that just really hit you and went, that was better than intended?
Uh, for me, it's the scene in the kitchen. I won't give too much away, but it's the scene where Baker and Eddie are talking, and you can see that Baker is finally getting through to him after all the numerous attempts. Even when things seemed like it was going well, it seemed like he finally sparked a light bulb in his head to realize that you have these gifts for a reason. You have life for a reason. Take advantage of it while you can, while you're still here, as opposed to, drowning in your own sorrow and your own misery. So it's moments like that in particular, that moment is the one that stand out the most to me in the film.
Okay.
Yeah, I come to film from a little bit of a different background. I come from a film critic's background originally. And I have a habit when it comes to short films is I actually like to watch it in silence the first time I see it. And with a film like Liquor Bank, and it's only 15 minutes, I think it really works well. And I like to see if I can feel the emotional heartbeat of the film, sans dialogue, sans score. And I really like the score that we have for Liquor Bank. But to strip all that away, and to echo what Marcella said, the scene in the kitchen where I could feel this dramatic tension reaching a crescendo, and I could do that without the audio, and I got goosebumps. I said, we're on to something. I believed in this project, but now I know. And then when we layered in the sound mix and of course the score, I said, yeah, he did it. I knew he would, and he did it.
Yeah, I think it was very powerful. I, like I said, that moment struck home for me in ways that I can't talk about right now. Uh, but it's a very powerful moment, and I agree, it's a very powerful film. So, kind of still talking about the film, then is you've got this done up. Um, is it currently out on the film festival circuit? And if you can, I know you can't always say, where might people be able to see it so far?
Adam, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So this has been, I talk to Marcellus every single day. This has been our daily grind. So for people who aren't aware, the way that the festival circuit works is you get a piece like Liquor Bank, and then you start making your wish list of these are the national and international festivals where we would love to see this thing debut. And there's a strategic nature to that, but then there's also a where are the areas, who are the festival, what cultures do we really want to see and buy into this. So we currently have 25 different film festivals around the world. I think we're in 3 different continents and a whole bunch here in the States. And we start getting acceptance feedback in May, and it kind of works in waves. So we're going to hear back from 4 or 5 festivals in May, and again in June, and again in July. And kind of like a young student applying to college, as soon as we start getting our yeses, then we start building our chart and say, okay, where does Marcellus need to be? Where do we both need to be? And there's some smaller representative festivals, and there's some that, kind of like your Harvards and your Yales. We applied and we said, if the right people see this and they view it and believe in it the way that we do, we're really on to something. So, yes, the applications are out. It's still going to be about 6 to 8 weeks before we start hearing anything back, but that is our daily conversation. Right now, we're trying to get it seen. We're trying to get it reviewed. It's been very favorably viewed so far by Rotten Tomatoes critics. Our IMDb numbers just keep going up. And so we're very excited, but sometimes impatient with excitement.
Extremely impatient.
Yes, both we share that trait. It's we are not patient people, but we believe in it.
Yeah, many of the people I have watched us understand that. That's the reason why I asked that way. It's like, oh yeah, we've got it out, but we don't know yet. So along those lines, where would people find the information as it becomes available? So where they could view Liquor Bank.
Well, as of right now, if you want information on the film, you can always find us on social media. If you want to come to my Instagram, Sellers World 24, you'll find everything if possible about the film. You can also reach out to me personally, and I'll be willing to answer questions. In terms of when it will be released, um,
Yeah.
worldwide, the plan would be somewhere around November of 2025. So if everything goes according to plan, but any other details anybody would like to know about the film, you're more than welcome to contact me personally.
Yep.
Okay.
Same goes for me at Movie Archer, Instagram. We're all over this thing, and we've been very, very fortunate to be able to team with a bunch of great critics who've kind of seen things the way that we had hoped that we had seen them. But yeah, anything that we're getting back from them, we're putting out on Instagram. And then as soon as we start getting festival feedback, that's where those conversations happen. So we're hoping November 2025, ideally to a streaming platform or as a part of a shorts festival or a shorts conglomeration that could run in theaters. So we have high hopes, and we're just kind of in the be patient phase.
Okay. I can understand that. That's a lot of work that you're going through right now with the launch of it. But everybody's always wondering, do you have other things in the works now, Marcellus? Are you, Adam, that people can kind of look forward to after Liquor Bank?
So at the moment, currently, I'm developing a second feature that I'm working on, Jefferson Street. It's a period piece set in 1964 about a black detective who travels down from Detroit to Texas to investigate the murder of his mother at the hands of the Ku Klux Klan. So that is the second feature that I am currently working on. The script is pretty much basically done. So just hoping to eventually at some point find the funding for it. But that is the next project I'm currently working on.
How about you, Adam?
I'm going to echo a lot of what Marcellus just said. Everywhere he's going to go with Jefferson Street, I want to be a part of because I know what he's got cooking, and it is an outstanding story. And a lot like Liquor Bank, I think it's a story that people are going to need to see. We are unfortunately in a time right now for independent film and filmmakers that, even Academy Award nominee Ramel Ross is out there saying, "Hey, I'm just trying to get 10 million to make two movies." And so for an independent movie like Jefferson Street, it's going to take some doing. But our belief is, and why we're investing so heavily in Liquor Bank, is that what we have here is something that is a great demonstration of this process. And it's a great demonstration of Marcellus's writing, his acumen as a director, and in front of the right set of eyes, I think that all of the doors that we want to open are going to open. So that's full speed ahead.
And just from the description there, I can tell from just the background to this, it's dealing with other major social issues uh, that we want to say are in the past, but they're not.
Exactly.
So
Well,
yeah,
I had another project in mind that might have been a little bit different, but I just couldn't find the funding for it. But hopefully in the future, after Jefferson Street, I can kind of tone it down just a little bit and have a little bit of fun. I have a pull hustler crime thriller that I'd love to do afterwards. So hopefully, if everything goes according to plan, I'll be able to switch it up. I also have a samurai idea that I would love to do as well in the future. So, which is what I really wanted to do, something like the Throne of Blood. So if everything goes according to plan, I have a few ideas that won't be so socially politically conscious, but but I know where my heart lies artistically.
Yep. So let me kind of flip this around now, looking into your backgrounds. I'll just something, and like I said, either one can start, but what was your drive to become a filmmaker?
For me personally, it was really nothing else I really wanted to do. I've always loved movies. I really dreamed of doing this since I was 9 years old. I, I've always loved cinema. Since the first time I saw a movie like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that was the movie that really motivated me to want to be a filmmaker. I love this craft. I love this art form. I just love the platform of being able to visually showcase something that the world, there'll be many people in the world simply cannot do, and actually have something to say with my art with that. And this profession, this platform gives you that opportunity to do so. And I love writing. I love creating. I love character development. I love everything there is to love about cinema and about filmmaking. And for me, it's been chasing this somewhat like passion for 30 plus years, and I can't see myself doing anything else. I'm bitten by a bug. I can't get off of it, basically, to some degree. But yeah, this is all I ever wanted to do, and I think until I am 6 feet deep, this is what I'm going to continue to do.
Yeah, Dan, I hope this came through. The thing that drew me to Marcellus too is that great storytellers have a lot of stories to tell. And when you asked him the question about, what's next, I was like, okay, which one of the stories from his book of ideas is he about to pull out? Because he's got a whole stack of them. And that's the great thing about storytelling, right? A lot of my friends growing up, they were subscribing to Sports Illustrated, some of them National Geographic. I was the Entertainment Weekly kid. I was the only kid that I'd come home from football practice and I couldn't wait to see what was going to get nominated for the awards. And that's kind of the direction that I originally started in as a film critic. And I still own and operate moviearcher.com. It's my website. But from there, we sometimes run like a Venn diagram in with these storytellers. And that's how I met Marcellus. And when the opportunity arose to become a part of the storytelling process, not really just seeing what other people are making, but having my hands and making something, I jump at the opportunity because to me, it's the highest form of art to be able to manipulate someone in a positive way, but to get them to see the greatness in our society or to tell the untold stories or to be reflections of a reality that isn't shown in every neighborhood and in every corner of our country. And I think the art of storytelling and of making films is such a great opportunity for people who've never met someone who looks like me or looks like you, Dan, or looks like Marcellus to become a little bit closer to one another. And although it feels like in the modern times we're kind of drifting further and further away from each other and into our own little private corners, I feel like films are such a great way to say, man, I didn't grow up like that, but I can't believe that this is going on. And for me, that was Spike Lee's work as a kid, seeing Do the Right Thing at 9 years old. And I say, that's not my neighborhood, but my heart beats just like theirs. And I can't believe this is happening. And so I just think it's such a privilege and such an honor to get to be a part of sharing a story like Liquor Bank for people who might not have grown up in an area where it takes place, but they can see a lot of their own family or see themselves in it.
Okay, some really good stuff. So kind of flipping it on a little bit different. I'm sure you've had people come up to you and say, "Wow, I really like what you do, but how can I get started to be a filmmaker?" What advice would you give them?
Well, you want to take that first out, or should I go?
It's all you.
Well, I actually already meeting a lot of filmmakers right now who kind of ask that question. I mean, most filmmakers will probably just tell you just go on YouTube and look it up. And you can do that now, but I've always said personally, when I talk to any filmmaker, the first thing I will always tell you is watch movies. Watch movies, watch movies, watch movies, watch movies. Study not just your favorite filmmaker, study your favorite filmmakers. Study as much as humanly possible about this craft from every era, every decade possible. Uh, I think that is the ultimate telling of a filmmaker is the much as much do they know about their craft as humanly possible. And I'm not just talking technical, but in terms of story in general. But I would watch as many movies as possible. I study. I will continue to go out and shoot and develop my craft because that's the number one thing you're going to have to do at the end of the day. It doesn't matter who in the position of power that you end up working with can say, hey, this is the guy. At the end of the day, your talent is going to speak for itself. So as long as you continue to go out and you write and you develop and you practice shooting and you editing, develop every single aspect, especially if you want to be a actual director. Know every single bit of the craft humanly possible. So watch as many movies and continue just to shoot, even if it's on the cheap Panasonic $500 camera that you had 20, 30 years ago. Just go out and continue to work on your craft and hone your skills. And that's as much I can tell you is humanly possible.
That's it. And Marcellus hit the nail on the head there. But in addition to that, follow your heart. Follow the stories that you feel, not just that you see. And there's a lot of great movies that we've all seen that we appreciate, but there's certain movies that touch us, that they make you feel a little bit differently. And so if for a young filmmaker to follow their heart or their passion, even if they don't think, well, the money's not in that, or nobody, I haven't seen movies made like that. Well, be the first one. Be the person who speaks your experience. And I think that if people do that, in addition to all of the great things that Marcellus just said, I think, there's success to be had.
Okay, so we're kind of wrapping up. We're coming up on the half hour mark here. So just kind of throwing it out there. Any final words you'd like to say about your film, about your career, about, throwing out thank yous? I guess you could say, like I've told other people, this is your chance to give your Oscar acceptance speech a run for its money.
Let me give the pre-speech, Marcellus, and then you can warm up for your actual Oscar. Very short list of people to thank from this production. First of all, the unbelievable performances of our two stars, Antoine Barnes, who played Eddie. I cannot tell you the waves and waves of positive feedback that we have had from his performance. And the same exact thing goes for Sean Alexander James, who played Baker. What a powerhouse. And from the very moment you first see him on screen, and for me, to have seen him without sound for the first time, I just felt his gravity within the room. So for both of those gentlemen, what absolute pros and way to embody those two roles. And then one other person that I really want to give credit to, marketing an independent short film is hard. And that has been a daily grind for Marcellus and for myself. And we were blessed with the work of an unbelievably gifted artist who actually donated his time and services to our cause. He got a chance to see an early screener of Liquor Bank, and his name is Chris Hodge, and he lives in Illinois. And Chris said, "No, I want to make this artwork." And so, if you're familiar with the poster, which it's out there on IMDb, it's out there on Rotten Tomatoes, it's been all over social media, but the poster for Liquor Bank was a hand-drawn creation by our poster artist Chris Hodge, and what a gifted talent. And anything that we happen to do moving forward, he's going to be the first call because he really came through for us in a time that we didn't have a budget to have some big elaborate marketing plan, and he became the marketing plan. And great feedback has been had on his work, so we genuinely appreciate him.
Greatly appreciate that. I think for the most part on my end, I echo everything that Adam said in terms of Sean and in terms of Antoine. Brilliant. I mean, there's the reason from the moment that I was casting the project, they were the first two that came to mind, and the guys, I don't take any credit for their performance. The two of them were absolutely amazing from the moment that the camera turned on, and I mean, you'll see more as they continue to grow in the future. Both brilliant actors, and as we said with Chris with the artwork, which is really amazing because it didn't have any money at all to get anything done. So the fact that he really appreciated the film and he was willing to lend his time and efforts into this is really amazing. It has really been the star of the project too, is the artwork. So, but most importantly, the entire crew who came and they worked on small budgets and they really helped bring this vision to life. I'm forever grateful to them. I'm forever grateful to Adam for everything that he's done because without Adam, I don't think this project will ever really see the light of day. And he came in at the very last minute. And he really saw this project for what it was. And oh my God, we're having this interview right now because of him. So I'm forever grateful to you and just to everybody who's had the opportunity to see the film and who's appreciated the film. Uh, it's been a blessing because I didn't see anything like this occurring, and I feel like it's only with March, so we got a long way to go till November, to when we're probably done with the run and everything. So anything is possible, but I feel like for what we've already seen so far with this, I feel like there's something amazing about to occur. So I'm grateful to everybody who's been a part of this film and going forward, and yeah, I can't wait to see what else comes from here on.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of you for joining me here at Guildmaster Gaming, and for everybody else out there. I just want to let you know this is a film that deals with, a very important in issue about veterans, especially veterans, but also just substance abuse in general, and the community that's available out there to help people in case you have those issues or you know people with those issues. And if you know anybody that you think would be beneficial to see this, either through their own issues or in supporting others, or kind of just working through their own issues, like I talked about mine, please like this and share it out so that they can see it. I'm going to also write up a review, and I'll put the links of that in the comments. So thank you, everybody, for joining me. And thank you, Adam and Marcellus.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for having us.